Hi everyone, it's Marisa from bumblebeeapothecary.com, and today I'm back with a highly requested video. I'm going to talk about our experience with heavy metal detox. So like I said, lots of you have been curious for me to do a video where I talk just about our heavy metal detox experience. I've talked little bits and pieces in quite a few other videos here and there about it, so I did want to do a sit-down video where I just talk about our experience. So our experience with heavy metal detox starts a number of years ago when we first realized that it was something that my husband needed to address, and this is a really good part for me to talk about how many wrong and even dangerous ways that there are of doing heavy metal detox. So these metals that can come into your body, mercury is one of the most dangerous, but aluminum and lead, and there's a number of others too that can all be a problem, can come into your body various ways and can really cause a lot of health problems. And they're especially tricky to deal with because, for one thing, they do cause so many different symptoms. People oftentimes don't realize that they are at the root cause of their health problems, but also they are very, very difficult for the body to get rid of on its own. What I learned is that most often the body will, when it is exposed and has these metals come into it, it'll most often just tuck it away in some fat somewhere. So this can be the brain, reproductive organs, or just some other less dangerous area in the body. So depending on where your body decides to store it away will really make the difference in whether or not you're seeing a lot of issues and, you know, what kind of problems that you see. Some people have amalgam fillings in their mouth, so they're exposed to it on a regular basis, but they have a detox system that's working well enough that their body is able to get rid of it somewhat. Other people, GAPS people, usually do not have a detox system that is working well enough to be able to get rid of it, and so the body stores it away in different organs and fat and areas of the body. And that leads me into the next part of what I wanted to talk about as far as wrong ways to get rid of heavy metals. And let's go back to my husband's experience for a little bit. We went to a naturopathic doctor, and I do believe that this doctor is very good in lots of other areas, but he did steer us wrong when it comes to heavy metal detox. So he prescribed some, or recommended some herbal supplements like chlorella and cilantro and different things like that to try to help him get rid of heavy metals. And that turned out to be a very bad thing. So what things like chlorella and cilantro do is they are known as imperfect chelators. So if you imagine one of those arcade games that has the big claw that comes down to grab prizes, and you're supposed to move it around and grab something and try to get a prize, you know how clumsy those things are and they're dropping stuff all the time? That's a really good illustration for how things that are imperfect chelators work, including things like cilantro and chlorella. So what that means inside the body is that these chelators are pulling the metals out of the fatty tissues and wherever the body stored them around, and then it's dropping the metals. It's not effectively carrying them out of the body, it's pulling them out and then dropping them. So that's called redistributing the heavy metals around in the body, and usually this means that the person starts experiencing more problems. So instead of those metals being tucked away where they were maybe causing a little bit of problems or not that much, now they're out, floating around, getting put other places where they're probably causing more problems. So that's what my husband experienced when he started taking this. He felt so awful. He felt worse than he did before, and we knew, okay, stop. Don't do any more of that. And we looked for a better way. Eventually, we came across the Andy Cutler chelation method. It uses things like DMSA and ALA, alpha lipoic acid. I forgot what DMSA stands for. And there's a third one that some people use, but those are the two main ones. I'll have a link in the description box below, where you can find out more information about the Andy Cutler chelation and the products that the protocol uses. So check out that description box if you're interested. But it's a much safer, much better protocol because it uses things that actually hold on to the metals securely without redistributing them in the body, as long as you follow the protocol properly. So you have to go on rounds, you have to take the different chelators. If you look into the protocol more, you'll see that there's specific guidelines for which chelator you start with, when you add another one, when to leave off one of them, and how long to do it. All that kind of stuff is very detailed and laid out exactly how to do it. Andy Cutler has a couple books he's written, plus there's a really great Facebook group that has been put together by people following it, and there's lots of very knowledgeable people in there. I'll have links to those things in the description box as well. But it's such a better protocol. He followed that. My husband followed the Andy Cutler chelation protocol for 2 years, and he experienced really great benefits. Before this, he would have a hard time in the summers when he would work. He has a very physical job doing heavy work outside. And so when it would be summertime here in Colorado, it's very hot. And so when he would start sweating, his body would start moving metals around, you could tell, and he would feel worse. And he had a really hard time getting through the hot summer days because of that. Since chelating effectively, he does not have trouble with hot temperatures like that anymore. And there's been a lot of other improvements too. Maybe sometime he'll come on here and do a video with me where he talks about everything that he's experienced that's improved. But overall, we saw lots of improvements. It was really great. And then fast forward to earlier this year, I was trying to figure out what to do for my son. He's 4 now, and he turned 4 earlier this year in the spring. And I was trying to figure out, he was not really able to come off of the GAPS diet. So I knew that there was something else going on. He'd been on it pretty much his whole life. And I reached out to Dr. Becky Plotner. She's a fantastic GAPS practitioner who is so knowledgeable. Whenever I have people come to me with questions that are for a practitioner to deal with, I always send them to her. I'll put a link down below where you can find her contact information as well if you're interested. But she told me more about different heavy metal chelation protocols. In case anybody's wondering, these are the freeze-dried liver capsules that he's eating. He really likes eating those. So that's what he's having. So anyway, Dr. Becky told me about some more different chelation protocols. It's kind of beyond the scope of this video to go into all the different ones that she told me about, but she recommended one that was less high maintenance than the Andy Cutler chelation protocol, easier to keep up with. It doesn't require being so strict with timing of rounds and things like that. And so we started with her recommendations for my son much earlier this year, and we've seen fantastic results. He is able to come off of the GAPS diet, and he doesn't have any old symptoms return. Now, funny enough, I was just emailing with her asking some other questions about something else yesterday, and she reminded me what Dr. Natasha says, that you're supposed to be on the GAPS diet for a solid 2 years with no symptoms before coming off. And that was good even for me to have that reminder, because I was like, oh, does he really need to stay on it longer? Because he's doing so well. We've tried some non-GAPS foods and he does great. We've never seen this before. It's amazing. But she was like, yeah, you really are supposed to be on it for a full 2 years. So good news for you guys. That means I'll be doing lots more GAPS content as part of our family continues on with GAPS while we finish out this heavy metal chelation. My husband is giving it a try too, this other method, just because he felt like there were still some things that he wanted to improve, and it's so much easier to do compared to the Andy Cutler chelation protocol. And I know that lots of people have seen great results with this method also. So if you're interested in what we're doing, I highly recommend contacting Dr. Becky Plotner and finding out what chelation protocol she recommends for you. So to sum everything up, I think the biggest takeaway that I have for you from all of this and our experience with heavy metals is that heavy metals are oftentimes at the root of really stubborn health conditions that just are not getting better. Even if you're on GAPS and you're not able to come off and you're not seeing progress, it could be heavy metals. It can also be a very complicated web of different things like candida and yeast and other things, and the flora being out of balance. Really, that cannot be completely corrected until those heavy metals are out of the body. Candida hangs around in the body to actually protect us from heavy metals, and so it serves a good purpose, and it's important to realize that. But it does have symptoms of its own, and oftentimes people are trying to get rid of candida and they don't realize it's there for a reason. We have to get rid of the underlying cause, the metals and other toxins, in order to bring that candida level down to where we want it. The other thing that happens are parasites. Parasites are like little vacuum cleaners. They hang around places that need to be cleaned up and that are toxic. So oftentimes people who have toxic heavy metal loads have extra parasites, and those can cause problems too, but you don't want to start by just flushing those out if you still have metals, because again, just like the yeast, they're kind of protecting us from these high levels of toxins that are in our body. So it all has to be worked in balance. You also have to spend enough time on gaps before you even start thinking about heavy metal chelation. Dr. Natasha recommends doing gaps for at least 1 year, preferably 2 years, to try to get the body stronger, to get the detox system working better before you even think about starting a heavy metal detox protocol. So all of these things kind of work together, but you have to do everything in the proper order, take care of everything at the right time, and you can have really great results. So I hope that you found that interesting and helpful. If you have additional questions for me, leave me a comment down below. Also, let me know what more videos that you'd like me to do. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with anybody else who you think would like it. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I get out 2 new videos every week on nourishing recipes and natural living. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.